Okay, so let's just implement the this actual code, right? Right. Let's just implement this. So file, new file. So make sure that you follow this example. Please open up your Python idle and please follow this example. And first, you have to start with the class, right? And then class is a keyword, and the name of the class is a car, right? And then you must have a semicolon. And then the first thing, right? When you write a definition for the class, the first thing that you need to do is to create a constructor. So the constructor is always start with the definition because it's a function, and double underscore init and double underscore, and then open parenthesis and close parenthesis, and then self, and then car model and manufacturer, MANU, manufacturer, and then car owner, and then speed, right? And then make sure you put the semicolon. Now, I'm going to define four, since it has what, four arguments and four parameters, right? That means I need to create four instance variable, and then the instance variable is always you have to use the self. It's just me. I mean my instance variable underscore the car. I mean actually the model is equal to this one, car model, right? So this car model, right? Later on the main, when the object is created, the main will provide a value. That value will be initialized this instance variable called underscore model. And then self dot underscore manufacturer. So menu, I'll just say menu, and then manufacturer, so this one, right? And then self dot underscore, let's say owner is equal to this guy, the car owner. And then self dot underscore speed is basically this speed. So I finished defining all the instance variable, right? So that once again, the main task of the constructor is set what? Set this instance variable to this value. Okay, now I'm done. So my next step is, instead of writing set method or get method or any other method, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the main. Okay, first I'd like to first test, right? One step at a time, right? So I just want to test if my code can actually create an object. So I'm going to write a main, definition main, and then colon, and then the car1, this is a reference variable, right? It's created, and then this reference is about to reference an object, right? That is going to be created. So the car1 is equal to the car, this guy, the name of the class, and then you have to provide a value for these four variables, starting with the car model, manufacturer, car owner, and speed, right? So what I'm going to do is the CRV is my car model, and then what about the manufacturer? Manufacturer is a Honda, right? And the car owner is what? Car owner is, let's say, Jessica or the Kevin. So I'll just say Jessica, and then the speed. Right now this car is driving, let's say, 20 miles per hour. Okay, so by doing this, I have just created a car object of class car, and this car1 reference variable is now is referencing or pointing to this object. So as you can see, now the car1, right? The car1 is pointing to this object of what? Object of the class car, and these are the value of the instance variables. Okay, by the way, we have not really implemented this method, right? But first, let's just test. Let's test this code if there's any syntax error or if there's any problem. So I'm gonna just run this, and then let's say documents. What I'll just say, okay, 282. I'll say op1.py. Oh, I'll say just op. Okay, good. So at least I know that I don't have any syntax problem, any major problems. Okay. The next is I'm going to create the set method and get method for let's say the speed. Okay. So inside this class definition, oh, actually, you know what? I have to. I forgot to invoke the main function. So this main function, this statement right here, is going to invoke the main. So let me just test this one more time on module. Okay, good. Now I'm going to define a set method and get method for the speed, right? So inside the function definition, inside the class definition, I have to write a functions or the method, right? Definitions. The name, since I'm going to write a method for the instance variable speed underscore speed, I have to say for the set method set. By the way, you don't have this is you don't have to follow this rule, but it's a lot of people just doing this, so I want you to also I recommend that you follow this name convention. So start with a set, and then the name of the instance variable is speed, right? So you don't have to put the underscore speed, so just speed. So I'll say speed. Since I'm going to set the speed, right, the value of the speed to a new value, so it must have some argument. So let's say speed, sp. By the way, every method defined in the class, you have to, for the parameter, always has to start with a self. So it's just Python syntax. Now, then this self speed will set to a new value. So the self dot underscore speed is set to this value, right? Now, I'm going to write the another definition for the get method. Definitions, what? So get speed, and then self. For the get method, right? I'm not setting any value, so I don't really need any parameter. What I need to do is just what? Return this value, self speed, the current speed. So self underscore speed. Okay, so let's just test these two functions, two method. So initially in the main, right? In the main, we created this class. I mean this object. Sorry, not the class. This object, right? And then the car1, this reference variable now is pointing to this object. And so in order to access to this object, I have to use this reference variable. So that's the main job of this reference variable. So the car1 dot, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the speed to, let's say, 100 miles per hour. So the car1 dot, so you always use a dot. Then you can use any of the, you can reference this method. So the car1, let's say I'm going to set the speed, right? And then, you know, if you look at this functions, it has only one parameter. So you have to provide one argument value, right? Which is, I'll say 100 miles per hour. So by doing this, 100 is passed. So my current set speed is 100 miles per hour, right? Let's just print this speed, current speed, to see if it's really changed to 100. So I'll say print Jessica is driving at, you know, at the following speed. I'll say the comma, right? And then car1 dot what? The get speed. Okay, so by doing this, now the is what is trying to invoke this method, and then you should, since we changed to 100 and then return self speed, you should say the Jessica is driving at 100 miles per hour. Let's to see if it works. Run module. Oops. Oh. This is what? Column 4. This is column 5, right? So I have to say, I have to make the indentation. And then this is what? The 5, okay. So this has to be aligned, right? So run module. Good. So now Jessica is driving at 100 miles per hour. Good. Let me just end my lecture here. In the next lecture module, I'm going to talk about string method. Okay, so